The hosts, guests, and callers who are responsible for their content and do not reflect the opinions of In Touch Radio or its staff.
Oh baby, oh baby,
He's back, y'all.
oh baby. Before we get started, because we got a heavy show today, I want to send out condolences to all the brothers that can't be Santa Claus. So brothers that really want to be a true Santa Claus and you can't, I understand it.
Man, we got a context now.
I get it. I'm just saying.
Good morning and welcome to
Okay,
Intakes
so
Radio.
let me finish the other part.
Go ahead, Pete. But context that. Why brothers can't be Santa Claus?
Well, because if you got too many traps, you can't fill them all at the same time.
Man, there you go, man.
And then the brothers who've lost out to Santa Claus that slide in for a minute and all. Well, you know what? Be Santa Claus the rest of the year. Sometimes you just lose out to a flash in the pan, brother.
Hey, man, I don't know about that.
I just want to say,
you speak your own reality.
Okay, but the sisters and on Facebook, y'all understand. I keep it real. You can overplay your hand sometimes, and then you're left with nothing.
That's another show, Pete.
All right. Well, we're gonna make Daryl a Santa Claus.
Yeah. Welcome back, Pete. Good morning, and welcome to all the listeners to Interviews Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. Pete, we had Robin in here last week. Robin Lockett from
Liberal Democrat,
Florida Rising. I couldn't tell the difference with her or you, of what some of the things she said. It was quite interesting.
Black people, the majority of African Americans, are just right of center. And the reason why I say that, because when you measure conservatism, the old school measure of conservatism, African Americans, in order to strengthen their community, whether it was the Black Wall Street or surviving off of government cheese or whatever, the Central Avenue Business District and all like that, even back then during segregated times, they couldn't have done it being too progressive or too liberal.
The mere concept of African Americans having rights and economic opportunity is progressive against the establishment.
In one way.
Always.
But
one, you excluded from economic benefits by denied property ownership, individual self-determination, and all those kinds of things, job, whatever. So to get those things was progressive. Voting rights, excluded legally and then excluded culturally from the way that the voting process was administered. To get those rights, you had to be progressive.
But we couldn't have got it. We see that's the misconception, the misread, and that's what's with young people now. They misunderstand that those were progressive ideas and continue to be in some aspect, but they misunderstand the power of conservatism in a capitalistic society.
All right, what is the power? Speak to that. Speak to that a little bit. I didn't want to go down this road. It's a trap. It's a trap now. I'm going to let you go because, it's not fair. Go ahead.
When you look from a historical standpoint, if you didn't have honest white conservatism behind the scenes,
I don't know. Tell me what that is, though.
Well, first
you said honest. What's honest?
Well, honest.
That we are trying to share this country and the opportunities and benefits in it. Is that the honest part?
No, here's what I mean by that.
We're honestly trying to keep you oppressed.
Back in the day, honest conservatism, where you had a lot of white money that was not liberal money that supported civil rights causes. Now, they had a clause in there, because I try to keep it real. They had a clause in there, off the record clause, I may say, that they would quietly support you and all like that, as long as they weren't necessarily exposed in a wrong way, and as long as you didn't try to date in their family. That's just the realities of it. So I know as a kid that a lot of things, even at my historic church, St. Paul, I used to see white folks that I thought would never come down there. They would quietly meet with Bob Saunders, Mr. Hargreaves, Jr., and all of them. But I understood just listening and all that you were good. Just don't try.
Stay in your place. I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it like you mean it though. You're trying to be nice. Yeah. Stay in your place. Stay in your neighborhoods. Don't try to make too much money. Don't try to change things. and we'll leave y'all alone. That's not good conservatism.
But at that time, you have to look at the times of reality. I mean, the times as far as when you measure reality. So it takes one of the biggest issues I still have coming in, and I hope we'll have a real good show on how the black and the poor community and the working class community is getting ready to be ripped off by the state.
Now you're gonna go off
Okay, so
back down to socialist stuff.
It's wrong. It's wrong. I think it's misleading. So we'll get to that, but I want to tell people what's hurting the civil rights movement now.
What civil rights movement?
We don't have one.
I was going to say that's play it out. That's
the African
like
American community
Uh-huh.
is taking a step back for two reasons, and reality reasons. One, we have not forged or renewed a strong coalition of supporters, regardless of where we can get them from the political structure. Number one. Number two, when you look at those who depend upon the setup of the Democratic Party now, we've been lied to, misled, the whole bit, and now it's falling apart. And as I listen to Charmaine the God or whoever this guy is,
Charlemagne.
Oh well, okay. Well,
what are you doing listening?
If
to
you
that?
went to happy hour, then
to
Charlemagne would come in to be Charmaine. So what? I mean, it's Saturday morning. Give me a break. But anyway, I listened to the tape where they interviewed Miss Harris, Kamala Harris, the vice president. I think Charmaine hit it on the head.
Charlemagne the God.
Yeah, the real president.
Charlemagne.
The real president of the country is Joe Biden. It's not Joe Biden, but Joe Manchin. So I'll leave it at that. And I know you guys.
Let me hit a couple of. First of all, I want to say I don't know if you checked this out. Have you checked out this new show on Netflix called Selling Tampa?
Yes, I looked at that show. I've been looking at the reviews of as they break down.
Now let's hold for the show, because the first thing is the idea, and let me set for those who are listening out there. This show is a spinoff of Selling Sunset,
right?
And the idea behind the show is a quasi-reality show about selling upscale real estate in Tampa. And then the setup of the show is you have this number of, I think about 5 or 6.
Oh, I counted 6.
6 African American females who are in various aspects of selling this upscale real estate. It's based in Tampa, and now that's the premise of the show. And then off they go, doing their reality thing.
And fashionistas too.
Yeah. Now, first of all, let me say this though. I love good-looking black women. I mean, it's like a nice sunset. Mm-hmm. It's like a winter snowfall. It's like the leaves changing, and it's just beautiful scenery. And the first thing I would say is I'm very, very impressed. These women look really, really good. They're putting, I think, Tampa from a lifestyle standpoint in a positive light. And I was shocked.
And they want to make money.
And that's the other part. We'll put the real estate pieces. And I know several of them are really, really intelligent, sharp women. One of them I'm particularly familiar with because she's in the legal profession. That's Rena Upshaw Frazier. But your thoughts about the show?
I like the show. It's a reality show.
It's a show. That's what you got to remember.
That's
it's
what you got to remember first, because let's say what happens when the real estate market cools.
Well, that's second though. Okay. Because the show is about the reality. It ain't about the real estate.
Yeah,
the real estate is secondary. And real estate doesn't cool. I didn't understand this, Bezel, but when I went to work at this law firm, the guy said the beauty of real estate, it always moves. Either people are moving into it or they're moving out of it. But either way, there's a market. You just have to know how to get to each side of that market.
Now, what I like about it, they're catering to, from a national standpoint, they're catering to, let's say, millennial black professionals.
Yes, who are non-traditional professions.
Okay.
Where your skill set is a soft skill set. It's people skills. It's selling emotions and feeling. When you sell upscale real estate, granted is granted, but they're selling, I guess, when you get to that level, you're selling, I feel like this is a good place for me to be in, Now,
here's my fear. Can I be real with you?
Go ahead.
I think from a blue-collar neighborhood type of thinking.
You try to anyway, because
No,
you no
I'm
longer
being
you're not a
serious
neighbor.
about
You keep
that. I'm
claiming to be a
being serious
neighborhood
about
guy,
that.
and
All right.
Bezos is always rolling his eyes when you say that. Pete rolling his eyes
Who
like
that?
Pete saying he's always rolling Pete there, Pete go by the
Well, let me
I'm
tell you.
OG at the bus stop.
All right, here I'm looking at the show the
Uh-huh.
other night, and I said to myself, as new people come in and I want them to be successful and all, what kind of connection, as far as reality go, will they have with blue collar and impoverished communities? And here's what I mean by that. Successful people in business and all, of course, their priority are business and whatever first. I get it. But how do you secure the trust of those who are less fortunate than you, beyond the normal Thanksgiving turkey giveaway, beyond the Christmas giveaway?
I'm gonna say
Okay?
the
You see where I'm
simplest
going
way.
with that?
I know you're going with that, and I think it's unfair.
How's it
Because
unfair?
it's
They
an
represent
extra,
that
it is
they
an
live in
extra,
the neighborhood.
it is an extra burden placed on black people to always be mindful you're carrying all other black people no matter where you go. And that is not an obligation placed on everybody else. But leave that where it is, which is okay. It is what it is.
All right.
I'm not going to say that's not fair. But I'm going to say this, though. If in my daily engagement, I treat everybody the best I can treat them, we all come out in the best place we can be. And I don't have to think about where you came from, what your race is, what your challenges are, what you overcame, what you didn't overcome. I have to think about any of that stuff. If I give all those that I encounter, whatever it is that I'm doing, I give them the best I can give them, I think everybody then is in a better position. But they expect that someone who moves in here from let's say Philadelphia, upscale professional, is going to understand the plight of people who displaced out of Tampa Park Plaza. That's not going to happen in any
But
city.
here's the thing about it: if you take that approach, then once you get to the point of your son setting out of the reality scene, who have you groomed? Who have you trained? Who have you?
I tell you who.
See,
Pete,
that's
I tell you
my
who.
thing,
Guess who
okay?
you groomed? All the people that you encountered along the way. You know, if it's just what you do, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna use somebody, Delano Stewart, who has mentored countless people in this community. I mean, just countless people. He picked me up on a corner one day. Didn't know who I was. Well, let me say, I didn't know who he was really. But he just came in, said, "Hey, look, you need to be connected with me. Let's roll." Right? He wasn't doing anything special. He didn't sit in his office and say today is a great day to mentor. He didn't come with a plan and wait to start an organization. He didn't plan an event at the neighborhood corner where they're gonna sell spaghetti dinners and sign up a list of mentees. He just did what he normally does.
He did me the same way.
But he did. But I'm just saying. So we get people not just in mentoring, but whatever it is you're doing, you treat people the best you can treat them.
But you have this mindset. I'm gonna say it, and a lot of women probably gonna call in and call me
You trying to get a
chauvinistic
date,
or whatever.
Pete.
No. We want you to call
They
in
didn't call it.
813-444-9588. Here's the problem. From what I see, I don't think we have a large group of women in that millennium age group that represents the reality shows like we see on in the whole bit. I don't think that we have a significant amount of them that outside the normal, and sometimes it's going through the motion because your chapter, whatever, say you got to have it. I don't think we have a large group of them that are really mentally, well, I won't say mentally, you were both mentally and mature-wise, to want to reach back and get their fingernails dirty to put up other girls.
Because I'm gonna say this right
I'm
here.
just gonna
well,
say it.
I know you always trash.
I know we're going to break, but
Everybody got to dig with their hands for you, Pete. Listen, man, we got a great environment in Tampa, and that show talks about what's possible in Tampa. That's what that show's about. And I'm really impressed with it. And I don't know all the ins and outs, and my wife will update me at some point.
It's possible, but remember, any good building that lasts a long time,
Great
trust me,
foundation.
they got a good foundation, and they
Right.
put some extra rebars in it. So when we come back,
Let's
and
talk
everything,
about what's going
I
on
want
with
to
you.
talk
with you.
about President Joe Manchin.
Oh, listen.
Hey,
to that
hey,
shit, man.
producer, I'm telling everybody, listen, do y'all think the voting rights extension is not going to pass? I told you that before. They're not going to extend the child care credit. I told you that before. They're not going to build back better America, that's not going to happen.
We can thank your Republican friends for that. Let's take this quick break,
okay.
Guzzle. We come back, Pete. We're going to talk about
you brothers with Santa Claus. Even if you lost a partner to Mrs. Santa Claus, that's the reality of it. That's just what life is all about. You win some, you lose some. But never forget that the children...
Pete, we'll be right back.
I just want to say, I'm looking out for the
We'll be
brothers.
right back. We'll be right back.
Former Santa Clauses. All right, let's go to break.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Hello, Tampa Bay. This is Ainsley Doe with Florida Realty Unlimited. As a broker with 15 years experience and a veteran of the Navy, I do understand your needs. Real estate prices are up. So if you're thinking of selling your home, call me for a free market analysis. If you're planning to buy a home, please call me for a free buyer's consultation. For more information, call Ainsley Doe at 813-546-1954. Once again, the number is 813-546-1954. Or check my ad out in the In Touch You.
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the law office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
You better put the ladies up first. All right, it's 813-444-9588. We're talking to Clint Paris, the extremely qualified lawyer from West Tampa. and yours truly, Pete Edwards.
Sweet Pete. Let's get it right. Put a handle on that.
Well, I don't think anybody, we need to have one of those reality shows.
This is a reality show.
Well, you know what?
This
But
is a reality show right here. Now, you threw something out on the go to break. You threw this thing out about President Joe Manchin. Why are you calling him President Joe Manchin?
I said from the beginning, since I sat in from soon, when your co-host, when is he going to officially get the doctorate?
Oh, man, listen, man, if you ever talk to somebody that got a doctorate, I wouldn't expect, he's about 8-9 months into it, so he'll probably do dissertation sometime next year.
Really?
But it's a long process,
man. You can go to California and get your doctor's degree by mail.
Yeah, but it ain't worth nothing.
Okay, well, nobody
do
knows.
the work, man.
If you do the philosophical
And I like his
thing,
area that he's focused on is really regarding black males and the I want to say lack of matriculation, but how they've been handled in the school systems and actually at the college levels as well. He's doing a lot of research in that.
I can't wait there. I can't wait till we get him on the show to talk about that. No, but Joe Manchin.
Okay, President Joe Manchin.
I've said, and even though I'm a Republican, I look at things from, I try to look at it from an independent, holistic point of view. I told you all that the Democratic election was not going to, after the election, Biden comes in, it wasn't going to bring a lot of fruit as people expected. And they shouldn't have expected that. Even when I look at the black progressives,
but that's a reflection of the dysfunction of our electoral system. But I want to understand is why you call him. You say it. I'm trying to figure out: is it a bad thing that he's holding up this legislation, or not Democrat or Republican, but for America? Is it a bad thing, or is it a good thing that Joe Manchin is acting like he's the president?
Well, he's acting like he's the president because he is the president de facto. Let me give you an example. You look where he comes from.
West Virginia.
Okay. You ever been to West Virginia?
It's a very poor state based on mining and some other things of that nature.
He makes his money off of mining. But one of the key things about West Virginians, the reason why he's able to fit in, he's very conservative. Some people think he's a little extreme, some people, but he represents an area first that elected him. He knows this area, that they don't want a white representative to the left or whatever. That's just the nature of it. So
you're saying that his
really a
position,
moderate
but
Republican.
are you saying that his position regarding the Build Back Better initiative is catering to what he thinks his electors want?
Well, you got to look at it. Look at the previous senator from West Virginia, Robert Ku Klux Klan Byrd. He was known as the parliamentarian of the Senate, right? But when you look at what he delivered for his constituencies first, in the position he had of power, a lot of government.
So
all
stay
of that,
operate. So stay right there for a minute. So what is Joe Manchin getting for West Virginia by stopping this bill?
Well, he's going to, number one, from a philosophical standpoint, I think he understands that West Virginians believe in pulling their own selves up by their bootstraps. They don't want a lot
hold on for a minute.
You asked me
that's
question.
Goonie though.
It
but
may
think about
be,
it.
but
That
that's
is
what it
the
represents.
poorest, nastiest state. We went. I don't sound uppity. We went there to go skiing, and on our way out, we drove through some West Virginia. I was shocked at how poor and run down. I mean, you would think we think of states like Mississippi and some of those rural areas being run down. That is a very poor state.
But they're if it's in their best interest in their mindset, to have less government involvement, and in their mindset to have more local white power, they're all right with being poor. You know why? Because they have not, in their mindset, not got to the point where they're poor than black people that live in West Virginia.
Well, I mean, I don't think they're sitting on the back steps of their trailer that's falling down going, man, we got it better than black folks. I don't think that's what's happening.
But it's
I don't
a
think
mindset.
they know it.
I
think it's the classic example of poor, it's one of the lowest educated states being exploited. And I'm thinking this. I don't think of politicians really, really serving people. And I know a lot of politicians out there don't like me saying this. They serve themselves. They get up really rich. They help their friends get rich.
Now make
and
sure
I'm trying
you
to figure
include
out
black people in that, okay?
Hey, everybody's in that. There's politics. Listen, it's called political stuff, but it's really capitalism in a different framework. Everybody's there trying. So I have not figured out yet. He's a strong elected person who's not about to be voted out of office in West Virginia. He doesn't have any threats.
He's a Republican.
So how does he benefit sabotaging this initiative, clearing the landscape for Republican takeover, and then he's definitely not getting anything then because they don't need him.
Well, he's been getting stuff. They need him. He knows that. But again, it goes.
Are you saying that when Republicans take back over, they're going to need Joe Manchin?
When they officially take back over.
Yeah. But they'll need Joe Manchin, you think? I think they're going to have 3 or 4, majority votes. It'll be like 53-47, and you won't need Joe Manchin.
They're going to need him because they're going to keep the filibuster rule. But let me give you an example. If I'm Joe Manchin, hypothetical example, but I think it's true. I represent basically one of the poorest states in the country. But I'm tuned into the philosophical thinking of my constituency. They like it where they're in power. They don't want government telling them everything they want to do. And you can see it. That's why they're not clamoring loud for at all. I don't think for the extended child care credit, because historically they've been taught by any means necessary the community raise up their kids. We got this cold thing going and the whole bit.
And you're talking about West Virginia, though.
West Virginia.
Now let me tell you
it's kind of like Alaska.
Yeah, but here's what West Virginia doesn't know. Okay, so I'll just go and put this out here now. Y'all just send me your emails. These backwood hicks up in West Virginia, they are not aware of how progressive the rest of the world is. They're not aware of how well everybody else is doing. They're too busy up there saying what you're saying. We control our own community. Everybody should be burning coal in their stoves to heat the house. And they're trying to live like it's the early 1900s and hold everybody to such a low standard. Now,
Okay.
if they got out of West Virginia and went to some of these other states, went out to Oklahoma and saw how well they're doing, they went down to Texas, they went to Louisiana, they realized, wait a minute, there are a lot of progressive things the government can come in and provide that will uplift us and not just let us exist. But Joe Manchin, though, is keeping these people hooked on, I think, a mindset that won't benefit them. And I know when they investigate it, they'll find out he's in the tank somewhere with somebody, because there's no benefit to him not having this thing passed.
Same thing with Mississippi and Alabama.
Yeah.
You look at the large populations of African Americans in Mississippi and Alabama. They got the largest amount of local black elected officials, judges, the whole
But down
thing.
the state and national level.
Okay, but here's the thing. The companies that are moved in, even with some government backing or whatever, you ask yourself, have you ever asked yourself, why do you think they set up those shops, these automobile plants and all like that in states like Mississippi and Alabama? You know why they've done it? Because they may increase, let's say, 2% employment among blacks, but they realize that the government caters to what they're thinking, that, okay, we'll do a little bit, but we want to get tax credits and the whole bit, and they know the government because they control the government, the elected officials.
Yeah, but you go to you go to some.
That?
I know you're going, but you go to some community. I think of one. I think it's Montgomery. You've got some. You've got some auto plants have come into Alabama. In those communities around where those things are, there's been a great advancement of people's lives because they have steady jobs, they have good pension benefit programs, health care. You know,
within those jobs, but the rest of the states are
Yeah.
different, and the mindset is different.
All right, so people listen. I just got a message from
President
said,
Biden.
Clint, you're letting Pete change the subject. They said, Pete, don't let Pete off the hook with this Joe Manchin thing.
He is what he is. See, when I look at the Democratic Party in the Senate, and even when I look at the black representatives in the House of Representatives, the Cori Bushes, the Jamals, and those kind of folk, you know why they so progressive and some people say socialistic or whatever? Because they're safe in the district they got elected
But that's
from.
everybody, though. That's why
Right, I know.
Joe Manchin can
Right,
act like
right.
this because
So
he's
that's
safe.
what I'm saying.
Now, if he wasn't safe, he'd have to do something that he's differently. Anna on Facebook, Anna just said that gentrification is happening all over the world, and they should be able to understand, I guess, how this is impacting all of these decisions.
Is if you're first where you live at. Now, I gave you another thing about Joe Manchin, what you might not want to admit to. Joe Manchin knows the feeling of a lot of those fake liberal Democrats.
Oh, we're going to stop right there.
Okay,
man.
all right.
I would say this, though. What I like when people use the power they have. I don't care what power it is. I've always been someone, that was one of the things I liked about Donald Trump. He used the power that he had as president to do whatever it is he decided he was going to do.
So why Biden won't do that?
He's not that kind of person. He's confused about being liked versus being effective. So he's confusing those two.
Well, Obama didn't use it like he should have either.
Again, wanting to be liked. Democrats are nicer, more compassionate, thoughtful, likable people. Running a country, it's not like running a daycare. It's tough. It's not running a bakery. It's tough, nasty work. And you have to actually, people get killed. You're making life and death decisions, and people's futures are on the line. So it's a
listening
huge
audience. And Anna, I'm glad you're listening there on Facebook or whatever. I hope you like my Head Start shirt this morning. We got to look out for the kids during the Christmas break. So many kids out of school, no speeding and all. But as I said before, the Democratic Party is fragmented by design.
What about Republican Party?
Oh, the true Republican Party.
Because you want to come in here, we come in
let me
here,
get it.
and you want to bash Democrats.
Well, the real Republican Party,
there is a real Republican Party?
Yeah, the Reagan-Lincoln
Man,
part
Reagan's
of
been
it.
dead for what, 15
All right,
years?
but
we're talking about
here's
the
thing.
current Republican Party.
That's
cannot be more divided.
No, the extremists have infiltrated us.
Have taken over.
But as I said, actually, African Americans who are Democrat and African Americans who are independent, if they took some of the strength of the Republican Party, conservative parts of it that might be a little older now, but if they took that and combined it with some of the moderate Democratic thing and run candidates with that mindset, the country would be better. But that's not going to happen. It's like in our community. What's the thing now? Black women can't find a black man capable of being elected. Then they get
Wait a minute.
And then they get elected.
Black women can't find a man capable of being elected.
They don't want black men.
You got 2 black men elected in Hillsborough County. I'm not talking about our county at school board, and you have a black male elected city council.
I'll tell you what.
Only have 1 black woman elected. What are you talking about, Pete?
After this election cycle, there will be no black males on the school board or city hall. You can see it. We just don't like to talk about it. But the kids that's behind us, and this, the young adults up to 30, they see it. That's why they don't trust black leadership as we're set up now. That's why they don't believe in us. And so they say, the hell with y'all, because y'all are
There's no doubt nationwide the door has been opened for women to advance in politics. There's no doubt about that.
Well, black women assume that they're going to have as much power as white women, suburban white women.
Why not just have whatever power they can get? And I think here's
not on the backs of a black man.
Well,
sir.
They're not asking, though. No one's asking. They're not saying, hey,
they just said the hell with it. Now,
yeah.
I remind you before we go to break, there was a commercial of a county commissioner. I respect her, but she put a commercial in, said it's time for black women to take over.
Get over that, Pete.
Okay.
Listen, I've been told you let Pete change it. You let Pete change the subject.
Well, I'm just calling it. This is a reality show, so I'm keeping it real. So when we get back, those of you, that has this nice thing at Slide Today and all. But I want to remind folks, if you see crime in your neighborhood and you do nothing about it, and you let the kids swing around on the corners with AK-15s and all that stuff they got, plain sight, you don't even call in or say anything about it, then don't cry and say it's the police fault. How can you let your little babies go out, and I drive around all over the place, and you see the babies sitting out there with the dope boys?
All right, Pete, you got to go to break.
All right, I'm just saying, because, I throw a brick in a minute. Let's go to break.
Radio, reality radio, everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hey, we forget the commercial break. Well, he done put up his hand.
Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
It's a beautiful day.
This is Daryl Johnson
And Tampa Bay Tammy.
wishing all our listeners all over the world
Happy holidays.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you.
From In Touch News
And radio.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I have worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong with Tampa Bay Politics. And not only can you catch us on InTouchNews.com every Wednesday at 11 a.m., we now have a website at TampaBayPoliticsPodcast.com. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Stitcher, which you can log in at any time and listen to Tampa Bay Politics.
everybody. All right. Now, you sisters out there, I mean no harm when I say you vote for who you want to. But I know that there are some cities, Clint, that black women encourage brothers to run for office and they will throw their weight behind them, and vice versa. In Hillsborough County, it's not like that anymore, and it's really.
I disagree.
And you know what? What makes it even worse?
You can say that's your opinion, but you have two. We've had a number of African American men.
1-1-1 though. Remember that.
Yeah, that's okay, but I'm just saying though, in head-to-head races with women, you have had men win. So I don't know that we have this issue of lack of support. Well, wait, hold on. Well, let the election happen, and I don't think that's the case. And I don't know who ruffled your feathers down at Open Cafe and got you like.
but what I'm finding out.
Get your gravy on your biscuit or what?
No, nationally and local, because all politics start locally.
They start local, right?
What I'm finding out is that there's this movement among African American women have gotten stronger in Hillsborough County, where they look at no matter how qualified a black male is, politically, leadership-wise, out of sight, out of mind.
No.
Okay.
I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing that.
Okay, we'll see.
The views expressed by my co-host Pete are not opinions of the other co-hosts. Paris. I want to say, make that clear. All right, let's go. Look,
we got a couple more things.
This week, listen, it broke this week. They finally released some text messages that was sent on January 6th. The January 6th committee is trying to look like they're making progress. They released a number of text messages sent out by actual members of Congress to Mark Meadows during the attack on the Capitol. Also, a number of co-hosts over at Fox News were sending text messages. I thought it was quite interesting that Don Jr. was sending text messages to Mark Meadows saying, "Hey, tell my dad, like, dude, call you can't text your own dad. Yeah, you got to go through Mark Meadows."
The committee made a mistake.
But go on for a minute. Let me set it up though. So, I thought the committee was doing that to show that, listen, we're making progress, and there is some relevant information that needs to be found out as they set up to hold Mark Meadows in contempt for failing to appear in front of Congress. Do you think that moves the needle on this January 6th committee, or is this committee becoming more and more irrelevant?
No, they're doing a good job. Where they made the mistake, they legally obtained the text message. They were voluntarily given to them by Mark Meadows. So they're from Congress. So what in the hell you don't say who sent them? See, they used the newspapers.
But they did. I thought they got Jim Jordan.
Only one. But they got, if you see something like that in an investigative stage, you know that there's plenty other stuff that's there behind that. If I'm on the committee, even whether I'm a Democrat or a Republican like Lynn Cheney, you know what? We're going to be straight up with the folks. Here's 15 people.
So why did they not release the names of the members of Congress involved?
Well, okay, for two reasons. One, I think they got even more scarier batch coming through. And two, it's called the act of self-preservation. Let's say the power changes. Republicans take over the House. They set up the same type of committee. They can get the same text messages or whatever the case may be, and they expose Democrats. Because I can tell you right now, if the country and even locally think that it was all Republicans philosophically behind the insurrection, you're fooling yourself.
Where you get this? Okay, you're telling me that as polarized as this country is, hold on, and as far right wing as the people that were holding that rally were, you're telling me it's your suspicion that Democrats were part of that event?
They might have not been physically part of the event.
They supported it?
I think philosophically, in their little own spaces, they would support something like that, because we got this.
Pete, where are you getting this
got
from?
this misnomer.
You just hold on, Pete. Let me give you more.
Democrats are not all progressive and liberal. Okay?
No. I got to leave here and go face the world, so I got to address this right here. Pete, the Democrats had just won the White House. They had a majority in Congress. What interest and benefit would it be to join up with these kooks down at the White House walking in circles saying that President Trump really won?
Well, you know what? If I'm a Democrat and I'm an extreme right Democrat.
Who name one?
Oh, I think it's a few.
The rightest person you got is somebody like Manchin. That's as right as you go.
But, I mean, you look at a couple of the Democrats from down south, the few that's down south. But here's my thinking on it. I try to tell young people, don't get caught in the party label. Over the years, I've seen Democrats that you were assumed extreme right. They became or were all the time very liberal, very fair-minded on. And then I've seen some liberals that you think on the surface that really understand unity in the community and all, and they're extreme right and disappointed. Why you think with all the black women and African American voters supported Joe Biden, but you wouldn't think it the way everything that they asked for, which wasn't much, they can't accomplish. All
right, hold on. Okay, I'm not where you're going with that, but let's go back to this thing about this concern about Democratic text messages. Text messages to who? You think to Mark Meadows?
No, I think.
What would they have been saying besides get the president out to say something?
I think what happened, the plan that they had, they relied too much on the fringe. See, when you look at some of the statements made by people that are being senators, they have realized, you're talking about reality?
Yeah.
They're in that Washington, D.C. jail and all like that. They have realized that, hey, you know what? They used me.
Yes.
And they realized that they were used. And what were they used for? On the false assumption that if you keep this kind of white person in power, all white people be lifted up. And that's why you have the attitude now that even though I need child care credit,
but think about this: you had another white person in power, Joe. So I disagree. So going back to these text messages and what came out, though, do you feel like that committee is actually getting something done that matters to the American people?
Yeah, but where they made the mistake at, they should have put if you know already and you legally obtained it voluntarily, he gave it to him. So why in the hell do you hold back on who sent the texts?
I know what.
See, if you
but
build
answer
a
that
coalition,
though. So now this is a beautiful thing. This is one of the things I tell you about what I love about being a lawyer, is you're supposed to have an answer for the question before you ask it. I know the truth is. I'm really just trying to see if you're gonna be honest or not and tell the truth, right? There's an absolute reason to hold those things back, and that is leverage. That's what that is. That's all that committee's doing.
But the window is too short of a time. People gonna forget after the Christmas.
Well,
break,
guess what? Think about this. If we got midterms coming, right?
All right.
If we got more of this stuff we can drop February, then we drop a little bit more, come a little bit. That's really what seemed to me to be the fear. But I'll tell you this though, I stopped to get gas in my car, and for the first time, it cost me more than $60 to fill up my tank.
My goodness.
At that moment, I could care less about that January 6th committee. My thought was somebody need to do something about these gas prices.
Oh, you know what? I got a good idea for that.
For my gas prices?
Well, I got a suggestion.
To get my tank full?
Well, for a Christmas gift from the publishers of In Touch News.
They give us a tank of gas.
How about giving us a gas card?
A gas card.
I mean, something.
Well, if they're listening in,
I'm sure they are. They want to make sure I don't violate the FCC rules. You know what I'm saying? But my brother Daryl and all, my car doesn't take as much as Clint.
My car don't take as much. But all I'm saying though is this though. As I stood there watching that, this thing is not going to hit $60. And when it did, I thought to myself, and I stopped. It was $3.38 a gallon. To tell you how much it was, I thought to myself, "Hey, somebody needs to do something about this."
Well,
I pay $37, $38, $39 fill up my tank. I got to now limit my rolling activity. I can't slow roll the old neighborhoods like Pete and do my research.
Well, you know what? Before we go to break, have you thought about it from this standpoint that even though gas prices going up and only a few are being profited by it, as long as it gives the power or the assumption that it's keeping the poor, the minorities down and all, the poor white people, they don't care about that.
Well, let me say this.
All right.
All right.
I know we're going to break.
We're going to break. But this is the
Facebook.
last segment I want to talk about this. P, you're going to get excited about this. Deion Sanders.
Happy for him.
Deion Sanders flipped one of the top football recruits for next year to come to Jackson State. He dropped FSU to come to Jackson State. And I want to talk about, number one, what may be the long-range implications of getting back. Because think about this. People don't realize Jerry Rice, Walter Payton. I could just run off a list of players that are historic NFL players that came out of HBCU.
It's a two-head. When we come back off break,
so we're going to
two-head sword on that.
Yeah.
It's a positive.
Watch me take this break here. People watch this. We're going to come back on the backside. We're going to talk about what impact Deion Sanders has about his recruiting. You listen to In Touch News Radio, reality radio, where everybody can be a star. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
So believe me, 100 down, 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He taking kids state of Florida, grab a pen of sundown, 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. Medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims, giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Now 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
We're back live at Radio, reality radio. Everybody can be a star. Co-host Clint Paris. Sweet Pea there. He's even sweeter now, ladies and gentlemen, because he just has a Krispy Kreme donut fresh. Brought in by DJ
Can you imagine
CEO.
getting off the air and that West Virginia barbecue is sitting outside?
Yeah, man. But I'm going to take this Krispy Kreme donut for right now.
All right.
Real quick, let me say this real quick. I want to give a shout out to my sister Evelyn Wilson. She's battling with some medical issues recently. A real trooper back over at Tampa General, and hopefully she'll be getting the procedure and getting out of there real soon. So, Ev, just wanted to give you a shout out. Let me tell you this about my big sister Evelyn. When she was 19, she came down to Tampa to visit, got a job at WTMP as a receptionist. And she moved all of us from the backwoods of Georgia, living in some little shack house, into Tampa so we all could get a better education. And she has been a trooper throughout her whole life, promoting and advancing all her brothers and sisters, and just really has been just a great inspiration to me and all of us. And recently she's had some health issues. Just want to give her a shout out. She listens to the show every Saturday morning. Now she calls as soon as it's over, tells me all the things I got wrong, even more things that Pete got wrong. But I just wanted to give her a shout out this morning. Wish her well.
Absolutely,
and, I'll be seeing you soon,
absolutely.
big sis. So.
Hopefully, as she get better, we have her on the show and give an independent.
Man, if you can get her to get on this show and talk, man, you done did something.
All right, well, she's listening.
All right, so Pete, so we threw this out there, Pete. I mentioned Deion Sanders flipping the recruit, and I want to lay the foundation for this because when we're talking about these top recruits in sports, you're talking about people's potential multi-million-dollar careers, and they can't make. You got to be careful how you manage that, so that you ensure that these players get the best opportunity. And recently, in the last few decades, that has been at predominantly white institutions where the marketing, the TV, the resources are there. But Deion comes in and he's doing something over at Jackson State that's kind of exciting and kind of putting HBCUs back on the map when it comes to some of these top recruits. Your thoughts about that, Pete?
All right, number one, here's the negative aspect of that. You can bet, what day is this, December the 18th, Christmas next Saturday? You can bet that because the way he did it correctly, and if you read his statement in the paper and all on TV, the news conference, he laughed about the phony accusation. I look to see most scrutiny against the black HBCUs.
When you say scrutiny, what do you mean by that?
Characters who going to question whether anybody that they steal from the top white colleges, that they did it correctly. So I think they're going to have a lot of...
You mean probably paid them or underhands of money?
Accusations.
Well, you don't have that issue anymore because these guys can get sponsors now. You don't have that problem now.
And here's the second part about it. I think that's going to come. But the thing that worries me the most is that there are not enough Deons to that type of thinking. Now, maybe Hugh Jackson and Eddie George and all them coming in now, new black coaches, to effect the change that we really need to effect among our young African-American athletes. A lot of them, they go to a major white school, and civil rights is the last thing they think about. Equality is the last thing they think about. And I've talked to some athletes.
But would you expect an 18, 19-year-old to be carrying that kind of burden with them as they launch into the world?
Well, they should. You know why?
No,
let me tell you why.
No,
let me tell you why.
No,
let me
man.
tell you why.
No, this is in the 1930s.
You 18 and you sign up for Ole Miss, where they still got issues with white sororities, using racial language on. You sign. You
or
go
the flag.
Or the flag.
And if you go to that point, let me hold on for a minute, because I think it may have been Ole Miss or Mississippi, where they had a top recruit who said, "I can't see myself playing under that flag," and they took down the Confederate flag.
Yeah, but the kids got to understand, why should you? And this is where
they're just not aware, though, because they're not facing that.
This is where I blame our community and family structure. He gets at 18. He should really have an understanding of black history in those
But that's
states.
the key, though. That's not black presence. That's black history.
Well, he doesn't think they're going to use the N-word on him when he doesn't score the touchdown and fumble.
I got a key for you. He's using the N-word himself.
Well,
I'm just saying, though. He's using the N-word.
They put the A versus the R.
But he is using the word.
I think it's an outer. And the reason why I think it is because when you talk to young black athletes now, they really believe that the perils of trying to get equality and all doesn't affect them. Here's what I had one tell me a few years ago. Look, I'm going to play in the pros. I'm going to have the best of money I can get under the table. And as a no, seriously, as a pleasurable thing for me, it would be easy for me to knock off a white.
Okay, so there's some people out
that's
there.
Reality.
Pete,
That's
there's
reality.
some people out there trolling you. Somebody just said Pete wants a gas card as much as Rand Paul wants government aid for tornadoes in Kentucky.
I applaud Dion, but it's not enough.
Yeah. But that's a start, though. And I just thought it was interesting to me because the economics of this has changed. See, the idea that kid can now be a millionaire while he's in college.
Not necessarily so.
Yeah, no, because you can sign. I think he's getting a $2 million shoe deal or something.
Well, they can make money now in school.
So you're not now talking about me roughing it being poor. I'm actually now already getting some money. So guess what? I can afford to increase my experience with an HBCU.
Well, his value is going to go down as far as being selected in the pros.
Well, depending on what he does in college.
Yeah. Well, see, remember, the way the NFL is built with those owners and their mindset and the way they draft it on, they come in with a thinking that no matter how good the person is in the HBCU, we cannot pay them the same value as if they come from Alabama.
That's an agent deal. And when these players are slotted, once your draft pick slot, you get to your free agent contracts, we can throw all some of that kind of stuff in there. But I think that it's made a different conversation relevant now for these students because my kids just went off to college. And I saw a drastic change in a very short period of time. By the time my daughter got ready to go to college, the majority of her friends were trying to go to HBCUs. Now, when I say try, there's some economic components to that, meaning scholarships, things of that nature available. But I would say I was really impressed with the large number of them that had HBCUs at the top of their selection list.
Now, you want to hear something funny? Not funny, but serious about it. The same leverage will not be there for black female athletes.
Because the money's not. It's all money. It's capitalism.
It's
all about money. But once you change that, I think that dynamic, that viewpoint, that you make it okay to do X, like I'll give you like in basketball. Once it became okay to do one and done, nobody says anything about it anymore. Nobody tries to criticize a player who does one and done. They used to try to, you're not doing it the right way and all that kind of stuff. But now, guess what? We expect a top player in the NBA to be one and done. And in fact, if you're a senior, everybody wants to know what's wrong with you.
Yeah,
that you're still
But I'm
there.
hoping that the brother that signed and a couple more that left other schools to go with HBCUs. I'm of the mindset that they take the lead and educate the other young African American athletes. Say, hey, you know what? We may not make as much here than we could there, but we're getting our power because we're just not going to let them mess over us anymore, lies to us anymore, the whole bit. And the key to this thing to be successful for HBCUs is that there has to be a ground swelling, almost an earthquake shattering movement in that age group where they come together and say, hey, this is a new beginning, not only for recruiting purposes, not only for re-educating ourselves as the power and the significance of HBCUs, but as we go beyond sports, how we can positively affect new leadership changes in the black community.
I would say this. I can remember when me and my friends would go down to the Twin Bays, movie theater.
Right.
$1 get in. One of us would go in, and we'd be deep. We'd have all caught the bus down there. Mm-hmm. And slowly what we do, one go down there, open the side door and let one sneak in. Then we sit quietly. Another one go open the door and let one sneak in.
Oh, yeah.
And about 15, 20 minutes, our whole crew is in the movie theater.
Smart thinking.
Sitting down, watching the movie, all of us on that $1. I'm just saying this. I don't think we need a groundswell. A little trickle. One just slide in. This is one. Next year, another one or two. Because if it's a bunch of them, it's easy to figure out how you stop them. But it's much harder if they slowly make this transition. I didn't realize it as much till my daughter got into an HBCU school, how much work is being done. And now it makes sense. When I was at Hampton, major construction underway. When I was at Howard a couple years ago, major construction. Major construction at FAM. Bethune-Cookman, incredible upgrades in their housing facilities and amphitheaters and all the stuff that make the campus experience more pleasurable and dynamic. No longer these old 60-year-old buildings about to fall down with rats coming out the wall, and they're saying, hey, if you want this is what you get. I think that's really part of the difference as well. And I think now we're set to have these kids go to HBCUs, get a great college experience, and it's interesting that Dion is leading the way. I'm just hoping Dion is true to what it looks like he's trying to set up, and he won't get bought out by a $50,000, $60,000 million contract to go to another school.
Well,
Pete, your closing comments.
The danger about Dion is the professional jealousy among other black coaches.
And money.
And since you mentioned about the improvements at HBCU, just want to let you know, in 4 years under President Trump, he made more improvements than Obama and even now with Biden and that.
Absolutely.
Just want to keep it real, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay?
It made it permanent.
And people say, what?
It made it permanent.
This Nazi type guy did that?
Yeah, but there's a reason he did that, and he can't take credit. But I think you Republicans should take credit for that. I want to thank everybody for listening in this week. Pete, what you got going on this afternoon?
This afternoon, I'm going to be watching all the kids that are on the scooters downtown. But I'm praying that they stop running in the middle of the street. But it's a fun thing because you got your little kids, the big kids, and for the most part, that's fine. I urge our listening on, remember the reason for the season. And for God's sakes, be blessed, with happiness for what you do have versus moaning about what you don't have. Okay?
Appreciate you listening to In Touch News Radio. Reality radio, everybody can be a star. See you back next week. It is? Oh, you might not see us back next week.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And Daryl is happy that I'm getting over there.
Man, my man.
Oh, I had 2 donuts, too. All right.
My man is killing us, man. My man is in the text message.
Catch my show that will be all up in your business. Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cuso. Every Wednesday at 12:31 p.m. My business experts provide insight for business entities and entrepreneurs. So join us every Wednesday from 12:31 p.m. to 1:31